Hello, this is Virtual the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. Today I'm going to show you a game where I have a dual bishop sacrifice for the win. Let's go take a look. Now, I had the black pieces in this game against my Singaporean friend. They led with e4, e5, and then the bishop's opening, bishop to c4. Now, against the bishop's opening, I know it's pretty tricky. I usually play knight to c6. So I think technically, if you look at Stockfish evaluation, the other knight is better. But the reason I play knight to c6 is that I'm inviting white to go back into the Italian. So knight f3 here is the best possible move for white, and of course that just transposes straight to the Italian. Well, if they want to play some bishop, bishop's opening trickiness, they're gonna have to avoid that, and that usually is not so good for white. So here you can see they played a3, a waiting move. However, this move is not so good for white, and it's minus 0.1, so black is slightly ahead. Basically, I win tempo. I simply develop now the other knight. They decide to play a d3, and the potential move here now, which I did see, was the immediate d5. So the idea is if you can place both pawns into the center, you should probably do so. Here, if they take, I can take back with the knight, and I basically win a pawn. However, that bishop is then unmolested effectively, is attacking potentially the knight, and it's still eyeballing my f7 pawn. So here I decided to play a bit more conservatively actually in this game. Given they've opened up this dark square diagonal, what I decided to do was to block the access to the g5 square. So I played h6. Stockfish thought indeed d5 was the best. They now push c3. So potentially, if I put my bishop there, they can attack. I put my bishop there anyway. They develop their other knight, so very Italianish, very closed. And here I jump forward fa5, closing down potentially the queen side, also giving an escape square for my bishop, should they push either of these pawns forward. So they now play h3 themselves, so potentially stopping a future bishop to g4 and also preventing a knight to g4. I now decide to play d6, opening up that light square diagonal, and very interestingly, white decides to reverse, bring their bishop all the way to a2 before it's attacked. A prophylactic move, effectively. However, in doing so, white has basically lost a turn, because now I have the opportunity to play a bishop to e6, lining it up anyway. Okay, so if they went there and then take, then of course they've lost a point of tempo. On the other hand, if I just straight up take, potentially that rook goes into a funny place. If they take, I get to open up my f file. So this was, I thought, a very good move for me. White here decides to not do anything else other than to short castles, bringing the king to the king side. And here I started to get some evil thoughts. So my dark square bishop is still facing off against f2. This bishop at the moment is still living, looking at that pawn. So I bring my queen forward. I choose not to castle. I have the opportunity to castle in both directions, but at the moment, my king at the center of the board is perfectly safe. I'm going to withhold castling. Potentially, there's a risk there, but giving me that extra point of tempo by not moving the king out of the center. They now play an inaccuracy. So this is now -1. So rook to e1, which leaves the f2 pawn only defended by the king, and it's pinned to the king. So here I now go bishop sacrifice. Bishop captures pawn on h3. Stockfish didn't like it. Stockfish thought taking the other bishop was best. Calls this a mistake. But I think that this move is not a mistake. I think it's a sneaky, clever move because I take one pawn, they capture, I now take the other pawn, and so for the cost of effectively 1 point of material, so I have lost the bishop, but I captured 2 pawns, but these were really important pawns. It was the H pawn and the G pawn, like 2 of the pawns defending the king, and it's now quite exposed with my queen pretty much hanging out outside the ruins of the White King's castle, their wing on their bit of the castle. White now, scrambling to try to defend the king, plays a blunder. Brings the knight back. Very, very understandable. But here, it's -4. You can see Stockfish believed that there was a need to block this bishop and its eye on the f2 pawn. Unfortunately, I now have the second bishop sacrifice. Bishop captures pawn on f2, king captures back, they lose the knight, the king is completely exposed. No defenders in the shattered, shell of their castle. All of their troops are still on the back rank, except for this poor bishop, which is stuck on the wrong side of the fence. Here I am really doing very, very well, and it's very difficult for white to defend. King moves back, I give a check. King forward, another check. King back, and now I've got an opportunity to bring my knight forward. If they want to do something about it, they're going to have to sack their queen. Here, very understandable move. There's a mate in one threat. They bring the bishop out to try to defend. However, they potentially needed to defend with the queen because here, queen h1 check. And this would be almost mate. There are only 2 legal moves. The king can either come here or the bishop can block the check. However, there's forced mate in either lines, and I did calculate this in the game, so I was very pleased. If the king runs to e2, I now have check. You can see almost everything is blocked. Have to block with bishop. Queen now captures, and look at this mate. The king is stuck in a corridor, trapped between his own pieces. Very, very sad. However, if they decide to block with the bishop, which is what they did in this game, I now have back, check, king has to come here, and now check, and again, only legal move is for the bishop to block, and then it'll be mate. King once again trapped between the corridor of their pieces. Good game, GG. My big takeaway from this game is a tactical one. Forcefully attacking the opponent's king's positions can often be winning, even with material loss. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.